everyone, I'm Mary Scarpati and thank you for watching another video with me. As you can tell, I'm very pregnant and I wanted to make this video. If you're like me and you've gotten scary news from the doctor or you're curious as to why some people would get an induction, this video is why I'm getting a scheduled induction, what made me come to that decision, what the doctors told me, and how I made the decision. So originally my plan was, and I have to say I'm not one of those women, there are so many women that have like very detailed plans and have done a lot of research and all this stuff. I do a lot of research, but I haven't read like a lot of books or anything like that. But I did want to go into natural labor originally. That was my plan, was to let baby come when he was ready to come. And that was just the plan. I was gonna, do all the things to try to help him along, but, wait till my body was naturally ready, because in my opinion, that would have been nice because I just imagine that would be like easier with labor. Now, is that true for everyone? Does everybody that goes into labor naturally have an easier labor? No. But, a lot of people say a lot of really negative things about Pitocin and other things. So I just wanted to, that was what I was going to do. But anyway, that's not what's happening anymore. So at 26 weeks, I have 3 autoimmune diseases. I have celiac disease, hypothyroidism, and Addison's disease. And I listed them in basically the varying degrees of danger. So celiac obviously is not that bad. As long as I follow a gluten-free diet, I am fine. Hypothyroidism affects me. I take medication for it, but it definitely, it's just something that, maybe it would be more obvious to me if that was the only thing that was wrong with me. But Addison's disease is the autoimmune disease that greatly affects my life, greatly affects my lifestyle. I was diagnosed 9 years ago now, so it was quite a long time ago, which is incredible to me because sometimes it feels like yesterday that the whole thing happened. I share the whole story in my near-death experience, which I don't know why I did this because I literally was dying. I share the whole experience in that video, so I will put the thumbnail, like what it looks like, and I'll also link it in the description box below for y'all if you want to hear that story. It's a very long, it's like 45 minutes, so it's like a podcast. You can listen to it if you're interested and then keep it moving. But anyway, I'm not going to go into like all that experience, but basically Addison's disease very much affects me. I don't make cortisol, which is what helps you wake up in the morning. It helps regulate all your hormones in your whole body. Basically my adrenal glands, they didn't die, but they don't work. So I have to take steroids every day to keep myself alive. If I didn't take steroids every day, within 5 days, I would go into a coma and I would eventually die. So this is just something I live with, and it's funny because it's not funny, but it's something that I don't really ever worry about because I've had 9 years to adjust my lifestyle and become just really in tune with it, but I have to live my life a certain way. I don't drink. When I did have Addison's disease, it really affected me. So I just learned over the years how to live my life so that I can have a full, healthy life, but I can't live like just anybody. I have to, I have to live within a certain healthy lifestyle to be able to live the life that I want. And that's fine. And that's been part of my life for now 9 years. All that to say, I really, for someone that has these health issues, I don't think about it very regularly. I've been living with it for this long. I'm blessed to have like a full life. When, there was a time where I thought I wasn't gonna be able to get out of bed every day or work. So anyway, so when it came to this pregnancy, I really didn't think a lot about it. I was told that, it's normal to get pregnant with Addison's disease. There's not that much of a risk factor. It shouldn't affect me too severely with the Addison's disease, the pregnancy, while having Addison's disease. And the baby also wouldn't be that affected by the steroids because I'm not taking steroids supplementary on top of what my body already produces. My body doesn't produce what I take the steroids for. So it's not I'm not as at risk for the side effects of steroids as someone who takes it for like a different reason. At 26 weeks, I had a very hard first trimester, but it, wasn't adrenal related as far as I know. I just think some women have really hard first trimesters. And then at 26 weeks, my doctor told me that I needed to go to a high risk doctor. And she said that I need to go to a high risk doctor because I have these autoimmune diseases. And the baby, they had concerns that the baby might have some complications from me having these autoimmune diseases. And I was blindsided. And I don't know if this was just me being naive, but I also thought, like, I'm 26 weeks at this point. Like, what is there to... This is not a surprise. I've had these 3 autoimmune diseases for 9 years. Like, why is this something we're talking about now at 26 weeks? So I was a little upset that nobody had mentioned this to me previously. It's something that we could have been talking about from the beginning of my pregnancy. I love my OBGYN. And no one is perfect, but that was like, it bothered, I felt very blindsided. And then they started going into all the ways that me having these autoimmune diseases could affect my baby, which nobody had mentioned previous to this. And basically they told me that he could be born with a low birth weight. And at first I was like, now this might make me sound like a horrible person, but I was like, what's a low birth weight? Like, is he gonna be like 6 pounds? Like, that's fine. I don't want a giant baby anyway because I'm not a big person. And I hope nobody takes offense to this, like me saying these things. This is just my thought process, what I thought. Like, I'm not a giant person. Pushing out a giant baby doesn't sound like the best idea anyway. So this is not that big a deal. But then they're like telling me like he could be 4 pounds at 40 weeks, like full term. And that really, you know how like you're in your head, I was just like, whatever. And then all of a sudden they said 4 pounds and I was just so taken back because like, I mean, a 6 pound baby is extremely small looking, but a 4 pound baby, like, and there are tons of women, if you're one of them watching this, that have 4 pound babies, like that I was a 4 pound baby actually. So I don't know, I was a 4 pound baby, but it just 4 pounds sounded so small to me. And it really like sobered me up, if that makes any sense. Like it just made me realize like how serious it could be. And they explained the reason his birth weight could be small is because when you have autoimmune diseases, basically it's common that your veins are smaller and basically your placenta, the placenta is made up of veins, I guess, that wouldn't be able to provide as much nutrients because the veins would be smaller than like someone without autoimmune diseases. So when they said 4 pounds, I was really upset. I'm not even gonna pretend like I wasn't really upset. I was very upset, especially because then I found out from my twin sister, who's an L&D nurse, that if your baby is born under 5 pounds, they have to go to the NICU. And that's, again, like so many people go through these things. Like I know there are women that have had a lot like worse experiences and all that stuff, but obviously nobody wants to hear that. Nobody wants to hear that their baby could have to go to the NICU. And like, it's kind of out of your control. Like there's nothing I could do either way, you just have to give it to God. So I was pretty upset about that. And it was the first time that I really like let myself think about my mom's story. So this is like a trigger warning. If you are pregnant and you do not want to hear a sad story about birth, I really don't recommend you watching this video. I definitely I've tried to stay away from anything that could be considered upsetting for me this whole pregnancy because I'm just super protective over myself. So I totally understand if, I don't want to share this story and like for someone to be triggered or anything like this. This does talk about infant loss. So, gosh, it's so hard for me to talk about. I'm also super pregnant, so I'm very emotional. So my first 2 siblings died full term after birth, and my mom had no idea there was anything wrong with either child. Now, this was in the 70s, so childcare and sonograms and all this stuff is like very much updated since then. But basically my first two siblings died shortly after being born. One within 13 days and the other within 24 hours of being born. And it's, my mom's story is a story of redemption. She adopted my two older siblings after that, and my parents, both my parents, adopted my two siblings after that. And then they had me and my twin sister. And thank God we were perfectly healthy. And, I'm now here telling you about my baby. So I don't really love to think about my mom's, the origins of my mom's story, because especially like being a pregnant woman, to go through what my mom went through, I think is probably the worst thing that you could experience. And it was getting that news was the first time that I really allowed myself this whole pregnancy to think about, having a similar experience to my mother. And it just really, it was obviously something really hard for me to I didn't want to go down a dark road. I really don't believe in indulging fantasies of horrible things, like the what ifs, because in life you really can't predict anything. And I am a woman of faith, and I do pray every day, and that really helps me overcome a lot of things and just give thanks to God, because at the end of the day, I have control over none of this. And whatever is going to happen is going to happen. And I have to just trust that God will take care of me and my baby no matter what throughout this whole experience. So the thought of anything being wrong with him just brought in those extra emotions of what my mom went through. And for the first time since I've been pregnant, I allowed myself to indulge in really feeling genuinely afraid for my baby. I'm so fortunate and blessed that my baby is a very active baby, very much a mover and a shaker inside me. So I was given that reassurance with his movements that, he's okay. And that really has been such a gift to me, such a consolation in all these hard things, especially these hard doctor's appointments that I've gone to. So anyway, they recommended me to go to this high-risk doctor. So I asked my mom and dad had flown in anyway, and I asked my mom to come with me to my doctor's appointment because I didn't want to go alone with the high risk, because I just didn't know what they were going to tell me, and I just didn't want to be by myself. My husband works a lot, and he's not able to come to my appointments with me. When I went to the high risk doctor, I'm in the mode of Lord, just please make my baby be healthy. Let my baby be fine. That's all I'm really thinking about. And I go to the high risk doctor, and praise God, my baby is perfectly healthy. And hopefully will still be healthy until he comes out of my body and then thrive after that. That is my number one prayer. But I'm expecting to hear hard news about my baby, and they're telling me he's great. So that was such a consolation, such a grace. But then I was totally blindsided when the doctor came in and is your condition is extremely serious for labor and delivery. And, again, I said, I've been living with Addison's disease for 9 years. I know it's not an easy disease to have because I do have to live my life within certain parameters, but I really wasn't thinking about myself at all. I was only thinking about my baby when I went to that appointment. So when the doctor started telling me statistics about people with Addison's disease, if they're not properly treated while in labor, I just wasn't expecting it. And basically I was told that if they don't monitor my birth well, with steroids, I have a 30 to 40% chance of dying in labor. It's funny because it's not funny. I didn't realize how emotional I would be filming this video because I feel like I've processed all this. But it's funny because it's not funny. I don't talk about it out loud really ever. I don't think about it, I don't dwell on it. So saying these things, it does bring back a lot of emotion for me. So when the doctor said that, obviously it wasn't what I wanted to hear. And I really appreciate that my high-risk doctor who I've now been seeing for weeks has a good understanding of what Addison's disease is and how to manage it and how to manage it within labor. And I feel confident in my care team. I think it's just, and I appreciate that she was just trying to make me aware of how serious my condition is and how, like, I can't be as laissez-faire about, you know, this labor as I once was. And I did know I needed to take stress dose steroids while in labor. I knew that ahead of time because when my body's under any kind of stress, it's life-threatening for me. So obviously I knew like labor and delivery wasn't going to be easy for me. It's just when you hear like statistics like 30 to 40% of women that had Addison's disease died in labor because they weren't properly treated, that's not like something you want to hear. And so obviously, like, it was blindsiding for me. I'm so grateful to God that I really am not fearful because because of my faith, but also because after that appointment, I just got very serious about getting a true care plan down. As I said before, I want to go into labor naturally and, you know, just let whatever happens, happens. But after going to that doctor's appointment, and since then, it just made me get very serious about having a plan in place for my labor and delivery with this baby, because obviously I think the biggest concern for me and the reason I am getting induced is because I want my care plan and my providers to be fully on the same page. And at the end of the day, if I went into labor naturally and wasn't getting induced, I could have any doctor that is on rotation and they might not be aware or as comfortable with having a care plan for someone with Addison's disease. And, you know, communication in hospitals, there's a lot of people having babies, there's a lot of things happening, there's staffing issues. So, you know, my care could fall through the cracks and that could be life-threatening. And obviously I want to be here for my husband and my son. Once I had that meeting, I really do believe that was like a gift from God, that as much as that was really hard information to take on and it was really scary, I think it was the right thing for me to start having more of a plan as to how we were going to handle my labor and delivery. Because again, even if I went into labor naturally, any kind of stress on my body could be very dangerous, and therefore like laboring at home would not be a safe decision for me because they don't know what would set off an adrenal collapse. We scheduled my induction date for, I think I'm almost going to be 40 weeks. I'll be 3 days shy of 40 weeks when I give birth. My doctor will be on call. We schedule it for when my OBGYN would be on call. So she already is fully aware of my health issues. She's fully aware of my care plan. They have a full care plan for me. And then on top of that, I actually hired a labor and delivery nurse that works at the hospital to be my doula so that she can also be there just to help monitor things and, you know, explain to the medical team what treatment plan I need. So hopefully there's no cracks, no confusion, none of that. So I'm so grateful, as much as all that was really hard to take on, that because of it, it did force me to have a very specific care plan in place. And I feel really confident about the decisions we've made. And I feel good about the fact that, you know, this is what we're doing. As much as I would love to have a natural labor, I do feel better knowing that my care team is just aware of what I need to be healthy and stay healthy and for my baby to be healthy. Because the other thing my doctor said is, like, if I'm in adrenal collapse, then the baby also is experiencing the same kind of trauma to their body. Obviously, I want my son to be perfectly healthy and have no health issues and within my control. Me making sure that I'm well taken care of is also making sure he's well taken care of. And that's the best thing for both of us. That's why I'm getting induced. I am getting induced with a cervical balloon and then I think Pitocin after that. So we're trying the cervical balloon overnight. I'm gonna be checking into the hospital. From what I understand, you can do the cervical balloon at home, like you can go home after getting it, but it's just dangerous for me to be in any kind of labor, not monitored and not with steroid IVs. That is the whole plan. And I'm excited and nervous. Honestly, nervous anticipation, not nervous scared. I'm just really excited to meet my son and hopefully, God willing, just have a healthy labor and delivery for both of us. So that is my reasoning for why I'm getting induced, how I've been dealing with everything. I hope if this was something that you found interesting, please give it a big old thumbs up. Please like this video. Please subscribe to my channel. I have a ton of baby and mommy and pregnancy content that I've been creating, and I have that all on a birth playlist. And then I also have lifestyle videos about like us getting our house and our weddings, all the stuff leading up to our wedding. And then I also make videos on Christianity and the Catholic faith. So I have a lot of videos. This YouTube channel is a big passion project of mine. So if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. It just lets YouTube know I'm someone worth watching and recommending to others. And please subscribe and stick around. I'd love to have you here. Bye.